spaces and I think about this young girl here. My mother told me about this photo a couple years ago. She said, that morning I worked so hard to perfect your hair because your grandmother was tripping about taking photos. And she said, I remember being at Montgomery Ward, for those who actually remember what that is. And in that moment, she said, you ran under all the clothes and you messed up your hair. But in this picture, it didn't seem like I really cared about my hair like I did today. I looked at that situation and it made me really, really think. What does it mean to have a photo taken of you? What does it mean to be in that space? What does it mean to be a Black female who is also a fat body? You never want to take photos. I remember flipping through magazines, telling myself like, oh, one day I'm gonna get a body like that, or oh, I'm gonna be in a magazine like that, but I never saw representation of myself. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and pick up my own camera. My name is Ellise Smith, and I am a second-year doctoral student studying urban education. In my research, I look at the experiences of plus-size Black women, fat bodies that are curvy, thick, and many times have read and been read as being negative. So I wanted to take that back into my own hands. Looking through magazines, looking through popular culture, trying to understand what does it mean to show up in these spaces, I decided to use that by becoming a visual activist. In my research, I look at critical race theory. Critical race theory comes out of legal studies and therefore has been adopted into a multitude of fields, including education. So in the field of education, Derek Bill decided to say, let's have a conversation about race. Let's make sure that we include that, because what happens is the counter narratives are actually lost. So for some of you, a counter narrative is not necessarily the counter space in your house, but a counter narrative is giving bodies who identify as Black, who identify as brown, who are not in the dominant culture, the opportunity to tell their story. So I used that in my research to make sure that I was able to tell that narrative. So I decided about 3 years ago to take me and my camera in my little red car and go on photo shoot tours. So what you see here is my very first concept. I went to the Detroit Institute of Arts, and I asked these 3 women from Detroit to wear something that was form-fitting, that showed off the body that the world had marginalized for so long. Going back to critical race theory, what I wanted to do in that space was actually be able to create the stories that we have, and not always depend on individuals who say, you know, you're cute to be fat. No, I just happen to be cute and fat. Don't forget. So when I took these 3 ladies into the space, they were uncomfortable for the most part, but they were actually excited to do it. What happened that day was the floor on the European level was actually closed. And we decided to talk to the manager, and they actually opened that space back up so that we can do this work. Because they opened that space, other people who were actually in the museum actually decided to walk in that space as well. So I had these 3 women sit here, and this picture meant so much to me because we didn't go in that space trying to appropriate what we had saw. We wanted to actually create resistance. And in that resistance, we stood in front of photography, we stood in front of oil paintings, we stood in front of sculptures, and showed you that this art that you chose not to show of fat Black women, I decided to show that art. I remember getting those photos back, and my 7th grade teacher, who will remain nameless, decided to say, and she didn't know that I heard her, oh, she looks crazy in this photo, because my eyes were wide, and my shirt was hugging my stomach, and I was a 7th grader, and I didn't look great. But my grandmother thought it was the most beautiful picture in the world. And she told me, oh, look at grandma's baby, and I'm like, hey, great. So the picture still sits in my grandparents' house to this day. As I looked at that picture, I remember the little girl actually feeling like she was not good enough. It wasn't the 10 pounds that I was worried about. It was the fact that people actually found me as an undesirable body, simply because of the way that I looked. So I decided to take that into my own hands further and create more spaces. So So this photo was taken in New Orleans earlier this year on my 3rd annual photo shoot tour. And when I took this photo, I wanted to capture what does it mean to see a thigh that isn't slim? What does it mean to see a woman who stands powerful in shadows and colors that you typically don't see Black and brown women standing? And this was the end result. When I actually opened it to edit the photo, I screamed for joy because I was like, damn, you good. You know how to take it. But what the other thing about being able to take photos is when every single day I get online and I see somebody upload a new picture as a profile picture. But the really beautiful thing about it is when it's mine. It's a photo that Ellise Smith took. When I tell you to take a certain angle, so I'm not looking for you to just stand and smile, but do things with your body that people told you not to do. Don't hide your stomach. Don't hide your double chin. Don't hide your bigger arms. Don't hide your thicker legs. You deserve to be important. So as I mentioned, I like to do visual activism. So coming out of critical race theory, visual activism for me is that counter narrative. So instead of me always writing it out or putting it on a podcast, I decided to say, let me take photos because a photo is worth what? I knew y'all had to know. Shout out to y'all, but yes, a photo is worth 1,000 words. But when you grow up in a body like mine, those words are hurtful. They're ugly. They're not beautiful. You're cute for a fat girl. All of these different things we hear because yet and still popular culture continues to press forward the fact that we are not valuable enough. So I created a line called Plus Size Magic because it literally talks about being plus size and who shows up in that space. These women came to this event and they were able to don these shirts and be as powerful as they could in these moments, reminding me that I am magical and that they are magical. As I continue to do this work and I go to different cities and I talk to different women, a lot of times I've run into plus size models who have literally told me, you're the first person who wanted to take a picture of me. And I'm like, girl, with all these selfies out here, what? No, but nevertheless, when I saw that, it really made me start to think. It really made me put things in perspective to say, how is it that I'm talking to women who are 35, 40, have children, have been to family reunions and have hid from a camera because they have always heard the comments like, look like you're gaining a little weight there. So I decided to continue this narrative. I said, let's get bold. I took this picture in Indianapolis last year, and I asked these 3 women, I said, look, we're not gonna get naked, we're gonna be illusion that you're naked. And so I'm waiting for this response. And I turn around and everybody's shoulders were up. And a lot of baby women. And I appreciate it because these 3 women showed me different things. The woman you see here, Dr. K.O., just recently graduated with her PhD and currently doing a postdoc in New York. The woman in the middle is a poet and a nurse. The woman on the end is a graduate of Indiana University. But because we have been marginalized in our bodies for so long, especially because Black women being bigger bodies have always been seen undesirable or aggressive or asexual and the different things that are associated with our bodies historically, mainly because of the male gaze, because of white supremacy, saying that European beauty standards are what is key. These 3 women would never have been known to be a doctor, a nurse, and a graduate. So I continued to think and said, what can I do to continue to push forward this narrative in ways that I can see? This is Barbara. She's from Indianapolis. She actually works as a makeup artist. And this was this first time we actually had a photo shoot like this. So as we sat down and we had a conversation, she said, I want to be able to be who I see in the mirror. Can you imagine looking into a mirror and say, hey, everything you see there, and you not being able to be there and appreciate it? My favorite thing about turning the camera around is when the same people who looked in the mirror just moments before were so not confident, they felt like they couldn't do it. And then when I flipped that camera around, they were like, what, that's me? And I'm like, that's you. That's me. So I decided to say, how can I make my photography mean something to me? In this photo, you see a woman in a backyard, and it looks like she's in this ever field of greenery. It's my grandparents' backyard, and I had to dig very, very hard to use their backyard because my grandmother doesn't like anybody stepping on her toes. I did a lot of lawn cutting that day. And I pulled her trees out, and I heard her people say, don't do that. Luckily, we snapped the picture beforehand. This is Geneva. She is a plus-size model in Detroit. Detroit, and she has consistently been able to put herself out there. The same facial features that we don't see in the same magazines, she was able to capture this moment, and it made me feel like this is something I would see in Vogue, Cosmopolitan, all the other major periodicals that we don't see fat Black women in, but yet and still we show that the beauty does exist. All right. Yeah. My grandparents let me use their house. So the concept behind this one was actually very, very important. A lot of times women are not considered bosses unless it has a negative connotation. You're bossy. So this model is another plus size model, Shaniqua, out of Detroit. And I was talking to her on the phone and I said, you know what would be dope? What if we did like a model boss photo shoot? And she said, what does it look like? I said, I don't know, I'm gonna go in my grandfather's closet and I'm like So I took this hat and I went to the front room and I braced myself because my grandfather, just like my grandmother in her breast, is like, don't touch my stuff. And I'm like, fair enough. So I said, grandfather, let me use this hat, let me move the table. So we rearranged the table, we took this photo, and I told her to hold the Queen of Hearts. Because I wanted to remind her she was a queen. Bossy. So we took this photo to take everything that they think is masculine, everything that they think is only situated around this, and we actually made this event. And it reminded me that women too can be bosses and not only considered bossy. Oh, this was fun. I almost dropped my camera in the pool. And the reason why my camera is so important is because January of 2017, like any other student, I woke up waiting for my refund check. I waited. Around 1 o'clock, I started getting mad because I was like, there are things for me to buy that I will have to pay for in 20 years. So, in that moment, I wanted to create this look. So this look was called Big Girl Summer. So what happens is a lot of times bigger bodies, especially in summer, is very fat phobic. And by fat phobic, that means comments of when you're not technically a bigger body saying, does this dress make you look fat? As if fat is negative. As if fat is not just a descriptor, or if fat is just not the way their body is made. So I took this photo of these 3 women, and in that moment they felt powerful. They were able to show off the same skin that any other body can show off, and in my opinion, look damn good doing it. So in that moment, they were able to capture who they are and be able to show that the summer is not only for small bodies, but for all bodies. And this picture means the most to me. Every single day I look at my phone, I notice I have 40,000 pictures. 30,000 are selfies. Way that I had to find myself re-empowering an individual and myself by saying you can take it to the next level. So I had to ask myself, are you going to stay in this trauma? And by trauma, I mean dealing with people calling me out by my name. No one knows that I am a first-generation PhD student. No one knows that in my family, I actually had to sacrifice and watch sacrifices being made. But I do know that when I walk into a room, the first thing they see is my body. And they already have these social constructs built up by saying fat people are lazy, they're undetermined, they don't do anything. But yet and still I said, if I feel like that, there has to be other women who feel like that. So I ask you again, would you take a picture of me?